The rain had just begun to fall on the crowded streets of Manila. Small droplets rolled off rusted rooftops and danced on the puddles below, reflecting the orange glow of flickering streetlights. Amid the chaos of honking jeepneys, barking dogs, and street vendors shouting over one another, a little girl walked barefoot, her tiny feet splashing in the water. She held a small Bible in one hand and a wrinkled audition slip in the other. Her name was Maria, 14 years old, dressed in an old faded dress that had been washed and stitched too many times. Yet despite her worn-out clothes, her face carried a quiet kind of beauty, innocent, pure and full of faith. Her mother watched from the narrow doorway of their small wooden house, her eyes filled with both pride and worry. "Anak," she whispered, "sing not for fame but for faith. Let your voice remind them who sent the prophets." Maria nodded, her eyes shimmering in the dim light. Those were the same words her late father once told her before he passed away. A fisherman who used to sing her to sleep with old hymns and ancient melodies no one else remembered. As she walked through the wet streets, Maria hummed softly the song that had been passed down through generations in her family. The Song of the 25 Prophets. It was a hymn older than memory itself, one her father claimed was taught by their ancestors, sung only in whispers during storms or when hope seemed lost. Each verse was a prayer, each name a memory of those who carried the message of faith through time. She stopped near a glass window where an old television flickered behind it. The screen showed America's Got Talent, bright lights, roaring crowds, judges in elegant suits. Maria pressed her small hand against the glass, her reflection merging with the glittering stage beyond the screen. Her eyes widened as she saw Simon Cowell smile at a contestant. For a moment, she imagined herself there, singing her father's song, letting the world hear what faith sounds like. Then, realizing how far that dream was from her world, she smiled faintly and continued walking. The next morning, before dawn, she and her mother boarded a small bus bound for the airport. It was Maria's first time seeing a plane up close. Her heart pounded as they climbed the metal stairs. From the window, she watched the city disappear beneath the clouds, her hand clutching the small wooden cross hanging around her neck. Every vibration of the plane felt like a heartbeat of destiny. When she finally arrived in Los Angeles, the noise, the lights, and the unfamiliar faces overwhelmed her. Everything was bigger, louder, and faster than the quiet alleys of Manila. Yet she walked with determination, holding on to her mother's words and the rhythm of her song. She wore a simple white dress her mother had sewn, its edges uneven but filled with love. The day of the audition arrived. The AGT theater buzzed with excitement, contestants rehearsing, cameras flashing, stage lights testing. Maria sat alone on a chair backstage, clutching her Bible close. Around her, singers with professional makeup and expensive clothes warmed up their voices, some looking at her with curiosity, others ignoring her completely. She closed her eyes and began to hum softly to calm her nerves. The melody of the prophets echoed like a gentle wind through her heart. A stage assistant called her name. Next up, Maria from the Philippines. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. The blinding light hit her face as the doors opened. The theater was massive. Thousands of eyes were watching, cameras pointed toward her. On the judges' table sat Simon Cowell, Sofia Vergara and Howie Mandel. Simon leaned forward, his eyes curious as he saw the small girl with trembling hands and bare feet step onto the stage. He smiled kindly and asked, "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Maria from the Philippines," she replied softly, her accent delicate, her voice almost a whisper. The crowd murmured, some smiled, some whispered, wondering what this shy girl could possibly sing. Simon nodded. "And what will you be singing for us today?" Maria looked down at her feet, then up at the judges. "It's called the Song of the 25 Prophets. It's about the voices that God sent to guide us." The audience fell silent. Even Simon looked intrigued. "All right, whenever you're ready," he said. Maria closed her eyes and took one shaky breath. Then she began to sing. The first note floated through the air, soft and trembling. The sound was unlike anything the theater had ever heard. It wasn't pop, rock, or gospel. It was older, deeper, like a prayer sung by the earth itself. Her voice carried the weight of faith, the echo of forgotten history. As she sang the first verse, a hush fell over the crowd. The melody told the story of Adam, the first prophet, his voice trembling in the garden. Then Noah building his ark beneath stormy skies. Then Abraham, Moses and David, their names flowing through the music like rivers of light. Each name, each verse, felt like a heartbeat from centuries past. Maria's voice grew stronger with every note. The pain, the hope, the faith, it all lived in her song. The camera zoomed in on Simon Cowell's face. His usual stoic expression softened. His eyes reflected the stage lights, and for the first time in years he looked speechless. By the time Maria reached the middle of the song, the crowd had stopped breathing. Her voice soared higher, describing the prophets who carried messages through fire and storms, from Jonah to Jesus. She sang, her small frame trembling, from Isa to Muhammad, peace be upon them all. It was not just a song anymore, it was a bridge between worlds, a message of unity and belief, reminding everyone that faith wears many names but carries one light. As she sang the final verse, the music faded into silence. Her voice became a whisper. And still the prophets speak, in the hearts of those who believe. When the last note disappeared, there was no applause at first, only silence. The kind of silence that fills a room when people are too moved to speak. Then slowly, the audience began to rise. One by one they stood, first in awe, then in tears, then in thunderous applause. Maria lowered her microphone, tears glistening on her cheeks. She didn't smile yet. She just looked at the crowd as if she couldn't believe it was real. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, his lips trembling slightly. His eyes were wet. He tried to speak but couldn't for a moment. The cameras caught it. Simon Cowell, the man known for his tough words and stone heart, wiping tears from his face. He finally stood up, clapping slowly, his voice breaking as he said, "Mariah, I have heard thousands of singers but never anything that made me feel this close to heaven." The audience roared. Sofia Vergara placed her hand on her heart, visibly crying. Howie Mandel shook his head in disbelief. "That was divine," he said softly. Simon looked down, took a deep breath, and then pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti rained from the ceiling, swirling through the air like holy light. The music swelled and Maria gasped, covering her mouth with her hands. Her mother, who had been waiting backstage, ran toward the stage, tears streaming down her face. The two embraced tightly under the golden rain, their cries drowned by the roar of the crowd. Simon watched them, still wiping his eyes. "This," he whispered to Sophia, "is why we do this. That little girl just reminded the world that faith still exists." The camera zoomed in on Maria's face. Her tears sparkled under the stage lights. She looked upward as if thanking someone unseen. The crowd continued to chant her name, "Maria, Maria." Backstage after the show, reporters and crew members surrounded her. Some asked what inspired her to sing such an ancient song. She simply smiled and said, "My father taught it to me. He said faith should not be hidden, even if you are poor." Simon walked in quietly and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Maria, you did more than sing tonight. You gave everyone here a reason to believe again." She looked up at him shyly and whispered, "It wasn't me, Sir Simon, it was the prophets." He smiled, unable to hold back another tear, and said, "Then may their voices never fade." Later that night Maria stood outside the theater, still holding her cross. The streets of Los Angeles sparkled with neon lights, and yet she missed the glow of the Manila streets. She looked at the sky and whispered the same prayer her father used to sing, the melody that started it all. Somewhere in the distance, she heard the faint sound of applause echoing again, as if heaven itself was clapping for her. The clip of her performance went viral overnight. The world watched the poor Filipino girl sing the Song of the 25 Prophets, and millions wept. Messages poured in from every faith, every country, saying her voice brought them peace, unity and hope. And on that quiet night Maria sat on her hotel bed, still in her white dress, her golden confetti pressed between the pages of her Bible. She closed her eyes and smiled. For the first time she wasn't just singing her father's song, she was living it. Simon later said in an interview, "I've never cried on this show the way I cried that day. That song wasn't just sung, it was delivered." And somewhere, in a small house in Manila, Maria's mother knelt in prayer, whispering thanks for the miracle that faith and a little girl's voice could create.